Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I came across a study yesterday that I thought I would share with a lot of you guys because people seem to really enjoy this who are really into the training component, the informative component of this channel. They seem to really appreciate it when you should throw them the newest research on stuff. And I came across this, and it's actually what's done this month. It's a pretty good little study. I'm going to just link the abstract for you guys because most of you guys are not going to have access to the full PDF anywhere or the full study. But if you do and you have a login that you paid for, or you're a graduate student or something at your university, you'll have access to all of that. So I'm just going to give you guys the abstract, some screenshots of it, and link it down below. But they took 49 resistance trained men doing basically 12 weeks of full body training, which is what you're going to want to do for drug-free lifters anyways. And I think most of the real experts know that at this point. So they're trying to train people that way. So they had already were previously resistance trained. And what they found is that when they took people who did higher reps, which is going to be like 30 to 50% of your max. So we're talking, you're going to be going over 12 reps on that usually, much higher, 20 to 25 repetitions versus slightly lower reps down in anywhere from the 75 to 90% range. Again, something like eight to 9 reps usually. I know they have it listed as 8 to 10, but you're not going to get 8 reps with 90% of your max. So they took them to muscle failure, like with the type of muscle failure they're describing there is going to be when you just take it to failure, when you just can't do another rep without help, or your form starts to break down and your spotter has to grab it. And what they found, interestingly enough, is what we've always said with meta-analysis that I've released for you guys. The hormones that you release from training, they found no correlation, nothing at all between hormone response and the amount of muscle you gain. So that's, again, a myth that they've just basically, with that piece of it, they backed up with the last two meta-analysis have said on this entire topic. The testosterone and HGH that you release, the amount that you release from training seems to have zero impact on the amount of muscle you gain. There's no correlation that they can find at all. But what was interestingly enough, they found that on almost all the exercises in muscle groups that there was no difference in muscle mass gained over that 12 weeks. No statistically difference in muscle mass gain from doing an 8 rep set versus a 25 rep set if you went to muscle failure. So that's interesting. It does show that once you're actually reaching enough fatigue to fail, which means that metabolic fatigue has accumulated, it doesn't seem to matter what rep range you do. You gain pretty similar amounts of muscle from taking a set to failure. And it makes sense when you're looking at the metabolites and the metabolic response in the muscle tissue. What was also interesting is that on most of the exercises, they found no difference in strength gains. The only exercise they found a difference in strength gains was the bench press. And again, it could be because pressing is a slightly different animal, but they got almost 50% more strength gain from doing what they call the lower reps, which is still like 8 to 10, versus the really high reps on the bench press. But on the other exercises, they gain just as much strength. And that also goes back to what we generally talk about outside of motor unit learning and motor patterns that you learn, which you only get really with really low reps for the most part. This is how you train to do maxes. That outside of that, all of your strength tends to come from changes in size. So you get stronger in proportion to the muscle gains that you make. And this is, again, another study confirming that the guys who gained an equal amount of muscle ultra high reps gained just as much strength as people who did it on more moderate reps. Again, something we've known for a long time, because those are your only real components to how strong you get on an exercise is going to be how much muscle mass you have in all of the primary movers, how much of it have you gained, and how much have you learned the motor patterns of the exercise. And so again, this just kind of confirms a lot of what we already know, but it's interesting to see both looked at in a study, and particularly with such dramatically different rep ranges. So if you guys want further information, go check out the full study. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.